Welcome back to the Out of the Rough podcast. My name is Nate, and joining me as always is my co-host Jake. Jake, how are we doing today?
Nate, I can speak for us both saying that we are both doing pretty well this weekend. Bittersweet one for you, but more on the sweet side for me. Um, Joint winner on Christopher Ryoton at the Nedbank Golf Challenge. He was up by a touchdown. He double bogeyed the 18th hole on Saturday. So he had a five-stroke lead going into Sunday. We were texting a little bit, like seven would have been nice, but five, if he could kind of just hang on to that. And oh boy, did he have to hang on
He
for dear
hung
life on
on.
Sunday. I think between the two of us, we were able to watch every single hole, but he was battling himself all day. He just did not have his stuff. He finished, I believe, one over par, good enough to hold off the competition and get it done. So, 30 to 1 winner for me. I believe you had a similar number around there at 28. And I'll let you talk about the more bitter part of your weekend with Rasmus Niergaard Peterson getting it done at the Crown Australian Open. It always hurts when you're on a guy a lot and you back off of him and he gets it done, but senior guy win is also, I guess, a small consolation.
Yeah, so back to Ryoton real quick. The only salvation that was he had a quality approach shot on 18 to stick it in closer than his playing mates there and got it done. Had a two putt to win, just fine, just fine. All he had to do was two
Yep.
putt to win. So again, it was a struggle. I woke up later than I wanted to and looked at the score, and he was up by one. I was like, oh my gosh, this is not gonna. I just figured at that point it's not gonna cash. That's usually what happens, right? Huge lead, but a few holes ago, you have one up. But held on, got his first or second DP World Tour title, moving on to the PGA Tour here, the turn of the year. And back to Rasmus Njergård Peterson, who is also going to the PGA Tour, the turn of the year. A guy that I've wasted a ton of money on this season, but his number is always so low, and then it was low this week amongst some of the PGA Tour stars and Australian natives and all those that had worse numbers than him. That I'm like, there's no way. And then he played so poorly the week before. Like I watched almost every one of his shots because it was on the he was on one of the featured groups on the golf channel when he was on. And the week before he was awful, couldn't do a single thing, and then comes out here and wins that event, taking down Cam Smith, who had a chance to tie there in the last hole and didn't. But good for him again. Just one of those bittersweet things where you finally back off a guy and he gets it done after you're on him all season long. Then I know the Hero World Challenge wasn't many people's cup of tea, but I took Sepp Straka deep into the weekend with a sweat as well, and I was so worried about Scotty Scheffler the entire day, right? And then Sepp was up two or three towards the end of the front nine, excuse me. Then here come Hideki Matsuyama doing what he does about once or twice a year. Just whatever he does, he couldn't miss. Like the putter, it wasn't just like sticking it within 3 feet. He was hitting, you know, 18 to 25-foot putts left and right and stealing birdies that should have not been birdies, and then
Yep.
took that event down. I mean, Sepp didn't do anything to help that call, the two bogeys on the back nine to take him out of it because he finished one shot short. So if he were to, not have those two bogeys, he would have won. But again, it was one of those things where I was just so worried about Scotty Scheffler the entire day. So funny, every time he'd have a poor shot, like, yes, and then here comes Metro and steals the event out of Sepp Straka's graps. And yeah, I mean Scotty too. He had a driver off the deck on a mud ball that, you know, being the most particular golfer in the world's best golfer. I don't know if he thought he was superhuman at the time, but like you don't make that shot. And of course, world number one, Scotty Scheffler. Again, I don't know if he just thought that I'm Scotty Scheffler. I kind of do what I want. It works out, and it didn't work out. And then that was the hole that him and Sepp both uh, par five that should have been an easy birdie for all of them. Ended up bogeying that, and that was kind of the difference maker for both of them that day. But yeah, a lot of golf last weekend. We got one winner. Could have had two if Sepp could have held on, but it was what it is. It was a good start to the DP World Tour season because last year's DP World Tour season wasn't great. We had a few winners, but nothing crazy. Didn't make money on that tour, so it's nice to get off to a good leg start, get some bankroll rolling, and we'll keep moving on here as we do this week with the next stop in South Africa for the Alfred Dunhill Championship, not to be confused with the Alfred Dunhill Links Championship, which if you Google Alfred Dunhill Championship, it pops up Alfred Dunhill Links Championship everywhere because that's a bigger event. I don't know why it's still this way, but it is this week. So yeah, we have a new course this week with the Royal Johannesburg. It's been played at Leopard Creek for like 17 years since 2005, I believe. Prior to this move to Royal Johannesburg. But before we do hop into anything, Jake, where we find you on social media?
Yep, you can find me at JakeOOTR on Twitter. I post all my outright cards there, so be sure to give me a follow and be on the lookout for those. Also, be sure to join the Out of the Rough Discord. It's completely free to join. There's no hidden paywalls once you're in there. There's a community of 250 plus members ranging from golf fanatics to professional gamblers. Every member brings valuable knowledge and information to the Discord, which makes it such a good resource to have at your disposal, completely free of charge. Nate runs the community wager tracker in there, so everyone posts their plays. Nate organizes them, and then we have a nice tracking interest throughout the week. There's some good banter that comes along with that. Also, be sure to check out the Out of the Rough website, ootrough.com. Nate has the strokes game putting on there, completely free at your disposal. A great tool to use. So be sure to check that out. And I think I covered all my bases there, Nate.
There we go. Yes, of course, the Discord is a free tool at your fingertips beyond what Jake talked about. We have exclusive content in there from first round leaders on my end to matchup bets on Jake's end and everything in between with a lot of other knowledgeable people in there. So be sure to check that out. Again, free of charge, and it is worth at least hopping in there and see what it's all about. Follow myself, Nate, on Twitter at Nate OOTR. You can follow Out of the Rough on all forms of social media at various handles. Find those wherever you are on social media. Just search Out of the Rough and you'll likely find us on there. I should write down those handles at some point. We'll get to that point. Uh, you already check the website. On there, I post my weekly PGA Tour, DP World Tour, LPGA, and Live Golf articles where I really go in depth about the players, the field, the event, the course, all of that. Break that down off my full betting cards. Also, throughout the season, Andrew at All Tour Bets on Twitter has his Corn Ferry Tour and Hotel Planet Tour previews each and every week with full betting cards. He just posted a Corn Ferry Tour preview for the 2026 season, fully in depth. The guy knows more on feature tours than anyone in the business. I guarantee you that. So it's glad to have him on our team, and he posts some great stuff there as well. Beyond that, we have the Out of the Rough one and done for both the DP World Tour and PGA Tour. DP World Tour 3 events deep now, but these are still low value events compared to what the rest of the season has. And there's plenty of golf, so if you're looking to hop into a fun, even if you're not a DP World Tour follower and trying to get yourself into it, it's a nice little free tool. There's some prizes for grabs, excuse me. Just come in there, place a few names, follow them up throughout the season, and see what happens, and maybe you'll fall in love with the DP World Tour like the rest of us. The PGA Tour, of course, will start when it comes to the Sony Open in Hawaii here soon. And if you're looking for the weekly free Out of the Rough newsletter, hit me up as well with a good email. We compile everything we have to offer in a week in one simple email and exclusive full PGA Tour event placement charts to the weekly Out of the Rough newsletter. All right, with that being said, let's move on to the golf this week. It is a DP World Tour exclusive. I mean, we do have a PGA Tour event, kinda, in the Grant Thornton Invitational if you're into that 16-team field of one man, one woman down there in Naples, Florida. If you're looking at that, we're not talking about it on this podcast, but I do have a full preview with my betting card on out of the ootrough.com. So check that out. But that's not what we're talking about this week. We're talking about the Alfred Dunhill Championship. We've talked about it already. Held at Royal Johannesburg Club for the first time this year. This is the penultimate week of the quote unquote opening swing with next week's uh, Asia Marathas Bank Open to conclude things, and then we'll have a bit of a holiday break, and then we'll resume in the desert for the Dubai Desert Classic, I believe, the first round in the stop
It's, yeah, the Dubai Invitational and then the
Dubai
Hero
Invitational.
Dubai Desert Classic.
Okay, we're in Dubai nonetheless. As I previously mentioned, Leopard Creek has hosted this event from 2005 to 2024, outside of 2017 due to course renovations in 2020 due to COVID. So a big change here for this event, and of course, so co-sanction between the DP World Tour and the Sunshine Tour to boot. So we've seen many of the PGA Tour stars and Live Golf stars throughout the first 2 weeks on the DP World Tour. Most of them have now fizzled out. We're getting closer to a true DP World Tour field. We are still have a bit of a few PGA Tour slash Live Golf guys with some South African natives in this week's field being held in South Africa. But beyond that, we have a pretty true to DP World Tour field. We have Jung Yun Lee, Grant Forrest, Nikolai Van Dellenhausen, Martin Kuvra, Eugenia Shakara, Laurie Cantor, Ewan Ferguson, John Perry, Anton Rosner, Angel Yora, and others highlighting the field. And of course, we have a strong South African contingent teaming up this week. Of course, Christian Bezenut, Thriston Loris, Dylan Fratelli, Dylan Nadu, Dean Burmester, Brandon Grace, Luis Oosthuizen, Daniel Van Tonder, Sean Norris, Jaquez Koiwich, Aldrich Potgieter, and Jaden Schapper are a few of the South African names in this week's field. Sean Norris, defending champion, has held off the likes of Marcus Kinholt, Perry, and Ryan Van Velzen by a stroke a season ago to claim his title at this event. Other former winners of this event teamed up include Oosthuizen in 23, Oki Stridham in 2022, Bezenut in 2020, Pablo Larisball in 19, Brendan Stone in 2018, Brendan Grace in 2014, Richard Stern in 2008, and Marcel Seam in 2004. If you haven't noticed, there's a lot of South African names on that list. The course this week, the East Championship course at Royal Johannesburg Club, will play host for the first time. Again, although new to this event, it held the Joburg Open from 2007 2017 and hosted various stages of the South African Open Championship as well. Par 72 at 7,592 yards. Again, we're talking about elevation here in South Africa, as most courses are. So take that number about 10% less due to elevation in terms of distance, in terms of the scorecards reading. This course was designed by Robert Grimsdale and opened in 1933. We saw some reconstructions take place in 1999 when this club merged with the Kensington Golf Club, which is rather unique because both golf courses were 100-year-old historic golf clubs that merged in 1999. And we saw some renovations in 2017 as well. The reconstructions did not change the course much as they tried to hold true to the original Grimsdale design. It was more so of a modernization of this, with the big thing coming with the bunkers, new sand drainage systems, pruning of mature trees, just simple stuff to bring this course back to life. The venue is tree-lined parkland layout that features gentle undulations rather than drastic slopes. It is known for its pristine conditions and is annually regarded as one of the best golf courses in all of South Africa. Golfers will be challenged by strategically placed bunkers off the tee amongst the gently undulating fairways. Golfers will then attack greens that too are gently undulating. Course is known for its challenging back nine opening holes. Both 10 and 11 are par fours that play over 500 yards. The par 4 11th is the more challenging of the two, playing downhill off the tee to a right dog leg, where the approach shot then is forced to carry water. Before you find the green, hole 11 at Royal Johannesburg is regarded as one of the most challenging golf holes in all of South Africa. So that's it for my preview. Jake, anything to add here?
No, I think you covered it all.
All right, perfect. Moving on to our betting card, guys. I have five names here. Jake, how many you got?
I've got three today.
All right, so I guess I'll kick things off. Leading my charge here, I'm going back to the John Perry well, 33 to 1, and this is an approach shot specialist. He doesn't have much distance off the tee, but we're talking a guy who finished last season fifth on tour in approach, 18th in green regulations. He was 28th in scrambling, 37th in par 5, 64th off the tee, then 110th in driving distance and 112th in strokes gained putting. Teed it up so far once this season, last week of the Nedbank Golf Challenge, 18th there, but prior to that, 28th at the DP World Tour Championship, 17th in Abu Dhabi. Missed the cut at the DP World Tour India, but 23rd at the Open Day of Espana and 3rd at the Alfred Dunhill Links Championship. Was part of a three-way tie, at a runner-up tie, excuse me, a season ago, although at Leopard Creek, but still has a proven track record here down in South Africa. An okay result last week at the Nedbank, so I'm okay to leave my card here with John Perry, 33 to 1.
Yeah, he was in the pool of names that I was considering this week. He just missed my betting card, so I can't fault you for going to him this week. My problem with John Perry is every single week I think to myself, can he make enough putts to win a tournament? And I would say that this is a tournament that very well qualifies for that. It's not going to be
Mhm.
a birdie fest. I think that it's going to be a winner in the mid-teens. So that being said, I think that John Perry's very live this week, and I think that 33 is a very good number on him, or 35, I'm sorry.
Yeah, and this feels a bit unique. It's very top heavy. You're talking some low numbers for some guys like Jason Schapper, who's in the teens, and Angel Yora, who's in the teens. Some names that you'd want to gravitate towards. Christian Besney, who's probably like 9 to 1 at this point. So it's a really weird field. So 33 to 1 maybe isn't, in a vacuum, an ideal number for John Pear, but in relation to the rest of this field, I think it's just fine.
Yep. And going right into my play, 'cause since you mentioned him, I went with Jaden Schapper. I got him at 17.5 to 1. I was between him and Iora when I ran my model, and I
Hmm.
said, whoever has the bigger number, I'm putting my money on this week. That ended up being Schapper, which is pretty good considering the run of form that South Africans have at this event. He was so good last week. He probably should have won. Ryoton was falling off the wagon. I mean, to our avail, he held on for dear life. But Schapper played some really good golf. He's in some great form too. He has four top 10 finishes in his last six starts, or sorry, last seven starts. On the 2025 season, he was 12th in strokes gained average, 15th in greens and regulation, 20th in driving accuracy. That's the good news. The bad news, 108th in putts per green in regulation, 99th in average putts per round. 69th in sand saves is pretty good, and 115th in driving distance. But I'm here to report that the putter seems to have turned a corner. And what I like about Schapper the most is that when he's gaining with the putter, it usually pops for over a stroke per round, which we saw last week. And we saw back at the Open Day of España where he finished T5. So he's been playing some really good golf. He's gaining across the board. I think his game fits this course really, really well. 17.5 to 1 was big enough for me to take a shot on the 24-year-old.
Yeah, I was right there with you. I mean, of course, Shapper and Oyora were the two that topped my model. Saw the numbers in the teens, backed off quite a bit, just because it's so hard for me to come around to guys who get to win on the DP World Tour at such low numbers when you have other guys like a John Perry who too haven't won the DP World Tour, but has a real open chance at 33 to 1, opposed to I think him and Shapper may have the same type of build, right? Not
Yeah.
the longest of the tee, great iron players, and just need a hot putter to really compete at some of these events. But again, don't blame you one bit because those are the two names that topped my model this week. Just the numbers were a little too late for me.
Yep. No, I don't blame you at all.
All right, so keep it rolling here. If we talk about one of my guys from last season getting the victory, a Dane himself, I have to roll to the next guy here and just hope it's a back-to-back Dane championship week. We have Jacob Scovolawson at 55 to 1. Talked about it there in the article, the Rasmus Niergaard Peterson miss a week ago, but not going to miss out when Jacob Scovolawson's made a DP World Tour victory either. This is a guy who 40th last week at the Nedbank, not too great, but 11th at the DP World Tour Championship was a great showing with names that are some of the best players in the world in that field. 23rd at Abu Dhabi, same thing there. 28th at Genesis, 40th in Spain, 47th in Spain, excuse me, and 5th at the Alfred Dunhill Links. Finished last season 32nd in green regulations. He was 35th in par 5, 38th on approach, 53rd in putting, 66 off the tee, 105th in distance, 118th in scrambling. This is a guy who has a great iron play, a quality putter as well. Not the longest off the tee, but again, that number that we talked about, the big number, don't really need super long distance at this course. We've seen, you know, not this course to say, but these South African courses where on paper you're like, this is a bomber's paradise, and it's a short guy who can plot himself away around these golf courses. Again, you talked about it. I think this is a challenging golf course. Going to take some quality approach shots. I think this is more of a second shot venue than maybe not, with finding the right side of the fairway opposed to hitting as far as you can and attacking the greens that way. So really excited about this play. Jacob Scovolawson 55 to 1. And again, maybe a little bit of FOMO here, but we'll see how it plays out for me this week.
Yeah, can't fault you for going with your guy, especially after what Niergaard Peterson did to you last week. But I agree with you. Like you said, it's going to be, in my opinion, a second shot, make your putts kind of tournament. And what has Olsen been doing fantastically th since September is the putter has been phenomenal for him, gaining roughly a stroke per round. So I love the shout there. I think the number has a lot of juice on it and a lot of meat for you.
There we go.
My next play here is going to be Dan Bradbury. I got him at 45 to 1. I know the number was higher before, but I just loved what I saw from Bradbury last week. And I was between him and Pari, where I was like, these guys are smacking fairways and their irons are scorching. Who do I trust to make more putts? And I went with Bradbury just because the number was bigger. And also the putter over the last 2 weeks, I know that it's not the biggest sample size in the
Yes.
world, but over the last 2 weeks has been very good to Dan Bradbury, which is, it feels like, in my opinion, he's a two-time DP World Tour champion, but when the putter gets hot for a guy who notoriously cannot putt, it's time to jump on. And I thought 45 had a lot of meat on the bone. Like I said before, he's smacking fairways. His irons are scorching hot. It's going to be a matter of if the putter can cooperate or continue to cooperate. He finished runner-up last week at the Nedbank Golf Championship. The week before that, 13th at the DP World India Championship. On the 2025 season, 33rd in driving accuracy, 96th in driving distance, 22nd in greens and regulation, 29th in sand saves, 86th in strokes gained average. The putter numbers are close to dead last. I'm not even going to read them, 162nd and 147th, respectively. But like I said, I'm trying to ride that hot putter for Bradbury on a number that I think is more than stomachable.
Yeah, talk about when we talk about Shapper too. He Bradbury very well could have won last week as well. Had a
Yeah.
great final round there and made a charge with a run-up performance as well. Yeah, was another guy who was in great form, and you talked about thing with Shapper finding some hot putting, and then the rest of the game will follow. And I think we're in the same boat with both those guys that you're on this week.
Yep.
All right, my next play here, a guy I'm rather excited about. I'm not sure why. Sam Bairstow at 66 to 1. Finished last season 32nd in distance. He was 50th on par fives, 51st off the tee, 59th in putting, 69th in regulations, 77th on approach, and 116th in scrambling. So excuse me, well-rounded. Geez, that was a tongue twister approach to his game here. Uh, Played twice so far this season, a 10th of the BMW Australian PGA Championship. Missed a cut last week of the Crown Australian Open, but already has a good performance this week. I know the last week at Royal Melbourne was a very challenging golf course. But I like the solid approach Bairstow comes. He has some plus ins off the team, so great approach play with above average putter. Just a deadly combination there, I believe, for a 66 to 1 guy in this field.
Yeah, I honestly didn't consider him, and I'm looking at his chart here, and my God, can this guy mash off the tee both long and accurately? So you're getting a complete guy off the tee here. I really like the shout. I think that 66 is a great number for him, and like you said, he has a top 10 on the season already, so he can definitely build off of that. And this is not the most challenging field, competition-wise, so I like the call there.
There we go.
Okay, so my last play here, this is my FOMO play, my guy. It's Eugenio Chikara at 50 to 1. I thought that was just a very fair number. He's been playing very okay golf, right? It's been between a T25 and a T40 since the middle of October for Chikara here. He won for me back at the Hero India Open, where that's a very challenging golf course.
Mhm.
Not typically a place that I would have thought previously he can get it done, but he proved me wrong, and I was on him, so I'm happy to go back to the well here for another course I think is going to be challenging. I think he's a top talent on the DP World Tour that he's kind of slipped a little bit, and I think 50 to 1 was more than okay for me to jump back on him since I've been on him a lot. Last season, he was 69th in driving accuracy, 89th in driving distance, 31st in putts per green in regulation, 45th in average putts per round, 152nd in sand save, so please just avoid those big bunkers, and 40th in stroke gain average. So he was about an average DP World Tour player over the stretch of time, but he's shown success on challenging golf courses. I think he has a lot of talent, and I think that this was just too big of a number for me to pass up on him.
Yeah, we talked about it early on in the podcast last season. Eugenia Hikara and Martin Kuvra as possibly the two best talents on the DP World Tour. They remain on the DP World Tour. This is before Marco Page went nuts, right?
Yeah.
They're the remain on the DP World Tour. Did not get promoted to the PGA Tour, which is probably the best for their games. I think that this is the last season those two will probably be in this level. I think they get cards by this time next year. So we're talking about a premier talent, as both you and I believe in at least Shakara for 50 to 1 in this field. Can't blame you.
Yep.
All right, so I have two guys right quick. I'll rattle off here. Brandon Stone, we talked about the South African dominance at this golf course, and I had to at least have one on my card. I came between Richard Stern and Brandon Stone, and Brandon Stone's putter really, really, you talked about how bad, what's his name putter is.
Sorry.
Stones maybe worse, right?
Yeah.
Stones has he is a really poor putter, but he has won this event, although back a few years ago at Leopard Creek in 2016. But the rest of the game, you're talking about a guy who was seventh on tour in approach, 14th off the tee, 20th in relations. He was 33rd in distance and par fives. But then it's 145 in scrambling, 172nd in putting. That scrambling number is probably in result because he's missing the putts to save him his par when he's missing the greens regulation. That putting at 172 is about darn last. I think that's 180 that qualified last season. But we're talking about this guy that is constantly going to have a downfall with the putter. That's where we're talking about Brendan Stone all the time. But we are in South Africa. We're playing on home soil. We have a big number, right? That putting number is baked into this at 66 to 1. So this is a guy that elite iron player, plus distance off the tee, and it's going to take a few putts to fall in his favor. And again, he has won this event in previous years. We'll see if we can roll around to that. Turn back the clock 9 years ago at this point, and see if he gets it done again.
Yeah, this was a guy that I was on sporadically throughout the year, and I think I mentioned just make a couple of putts, just
Mm-hmm.
get to even. The Scotty chef were saying, just get to even with the flat stick. The rest of the game will carry you. I think 66 is a great number on Stone.
All right, then going back to the well here for a guy that I littered a bunch, at least in the front portion of the DP World Tour season last year, and that's Brandon Robinson Thompson at 80 to 1. A guy that, was scorching hot, from the desert onward for a little bit to start the season, then quickly faded out. He did find some form at the end of the season, 34th at the championship, 49th at Abu Dhabi, 15th in India, 44th in Spain, 50th at Alfred Dunhill Links. Yet to play this season, but he finished last season 64th, or excuse me, 29th in green relations, 42nd scrambling, 47th par 5, 63rd distance, 66 approach and putting, and 89th off the tee. So a well-rounded game there. We're talking about average and everything, but that may be the case here. Still rather young, still finding his foot here at this level, but made himself into a top 50 player at least on the DP World Tour last season and playing in that final round of the DP World Tour Championship. So we'll see what can happen here. But 80 to 1 in this field's a big number, in my opinion. So just had to sprinkle something there.
Yeah, this guy is a baller. Like, if you watched him when he was scorching hot last season, it
Oh
looked
gosh.
like no one was ever going to get in his way, and he just didn't get across the finish line those couple times. It would not surprise me at all. I definitely think he wins on the DP World Tour this season. At 80 to 1 this week, I can't fault you for going there.
Yeah, it's a big number for, again, a talent in this field.
Yes.
All right, guys. Well, that's it for this week's podcast. Again, we talked about this part of the season at least. If you're new to the DP World Tour, you listen to this podcast and you're like, "What? I've never really watched the DP World Tour." Again, just turn it on. It's so fun at this time of the year, especially in the last 2 weeks in Australia because it's late night golf. Right? You're getting ready for bed. It's 10 o'clock, Eastern Standard Time, where Jake and I live, and you just turn on the TV a little bit as you fade off to sleep. You got golf in the background. Same thing with South Africa. If you're up early in the morning, or if you're a late bird and you're up at midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning, you're gonna have some coverage to watch some golf, and I like that. I like to be able to come home from work, wind down. It's dark outside. It's cold here. I turn on some golf, get myself to sleep. It's hard when you're talking. We have work all day, but the golf is happening while you're working. You try to go get home at night and sit down to watch it, but the golf's already done because you know the daylight's done. So it is cool, and that's what I like about the DP World Tour is there's always time to catch it, especially this part of the season when they're in South Africa, then the Middle East, and pop over to Asia for a while. It's cool. I really enjoy it, and it's a fun tour. It's a really fun tour, and the new season's here. So find your guy to leech onto. My Rasmus Niergaard Peterson or my Jacob Scovolasa last season. Find your guy to leech onto and just follow him throughout the season. It's a great time.
Yeah, I love the DP World Tour. Like you said, there's golf on like 24 hours a day when the PGA Tour is on and these guys are playing overseas. So definitely something fun to get yourself into if you're not already into it.
All right, Jake, where can people find you on social media one more time?
Yep, you can find me at JakeOOTR on Twitter. My outright card is posted there for the week, so be sure to check it out and give me a follow. Also, be sure to join the Out of the Rough Discord. It's completely free to join, and there's no hidden paywalls once you're in there. There's a community of 250 plus members, ranging from just your standard golf knowledge players to professional gamblers. Everyone brings something valuable to the table, including you. So be sure to join. It's a great tool to have at your fingertips, even if you're involved, not involved, just want to catch up the weeks that you're looking at the tournaments. Just good to have at your fingertips on your phone. Very easy. Reach out to Nate or myself, and we will get you in there.
All right, be sure to check out everything Out of the Rough has to offer from our websites to our articles to our Discord to our one and done, the newsletter, everything. We have you covered from top to bottom, from the PGA Tour down to the Corn Ferry Tour, the Hotel Planet Tour, even sometimes we're talking Sunshine Tour and Asian tours and all of that. So if you're interested in golf in the slightest, this is the place to be. We have you covered. Again, the DP World Tour is kind of the only thing going right now, but the PGA Tour will be here in about 3 weeks' time. We'll get that rolling for the 2026 season. Then nonstop golf until the fall again. So, yeah, that's it. Be sure to follow myself, Nate, on Twitter at NateOOTR. And until next time, guys, we'll see you.